I'm in the game still rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants to smoke, come in the booth. I will rap
He don't want
circles
no
around.
smoke. He enjoying that 150 million, 200 million he done
Okay
made.
then, so then leave me alone while I'm on the field.
You was effing with him. He wasn't bothering you.
They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them know.
Jim Jones was never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got confident.
Jim Jones appeared on Shannon Sharpe's podcast and claimed that he's more influential than Nas, not just relevant, but more significant to the culture. The moment he made that statement, things took a turn. 50 Cent didn't respond directly or call anyone out. Instead, he posted an old federal transcript on Instagram and let the public piece things together on their own. Since then, fans have been digging up wiretaps, and old clips are starting to resurface. Meanwhile, Jim has been hitting the gym, releasing diss tracks, and speaking out as if preparing for a serious fight or a stint on Rikers Island. But this situation isn't just about Nas, and it's not purely about pride. It seems like 50 Cent is using this moment to quietly remind the industry why his position remains unshaken and why certain people have mysteriously avoided legal trouble. Over the years, Jim may have made his initial comment to prove a personal point, but he may have unintentionally set off something far bigger than music. There's a reason why hearing Jim Jones talk about Nas always feels different. The tension between them didn't start recently. It wasn't just a random generational disagreement. Their conflict dates back to 2002 when Nas went on Hot 97 and unexpectedly criticized Cameron, calling his album trash without much explanation. That was enough to put Dipset on the offensive, and Jim Jones immediately jumped into the mix. From there, things escalated. Nas and Dipset traded shots across mixtapes. Jim took it to a personal level. He even threatened to slap the kufi off Nas and kept that same aggressive tone in songs like We Fly High and It's More Than Music. But there's another layer to this. Jim Jones has always respected Nas. In fact, just a year ago, he was speaking positively about
I never got to Did I ever got to see Nas? I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before anybody.
That admiration quickly turned into subtle jabs. Everything shifted when Jim appeared on Fat Joe and Jadakiss' podcast, where Fat Joe decided to stir things up.
I recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
that's my young boy
big hits.
He's wild.
Yo, he looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying, Nas is like a god.
That moment could have easily stayed as a passing comment on social media, but Jim wasn't finished. He was eager to dive deeper into the conversation.
My Nas, but remember Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade.
Yes.
So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan. Period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you got to realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that. I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
Then, without warning, Jim made one of the boldest statements in recent hip-hop discussions.
Came into light and started going crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them know.
You know what I mean? Like,
Jim didn't just say he was more relevant, he positioned himself as more influential than Nas. Nas from Queensbridge, the legend behind Omatic, God's Son, King's Disease, the same artist who still fills Madison Square Garden well into his 50s. But Jim wasn't stepping back. He didn't hesitate, he actually reinforced his point.
Me, Jim Jones. No diplomats, no nobody else. Me, Jim Jones. Check my track record, then check everybody else's track record. Then go to the billboards and check all my entries, then check all them entries. And And I'm not taking nothing away from nobody, but I hear the comparisons and then be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this shit about the industry. I've been putting on.
That interview didn't just spark a reaction, it completely flipped the conversation. Before things could even settle from that podcast, Jim showed up on another platform, this time on Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap. He joined Shannon and Chad, Okasinko Johnson, ready to stand by his earlier remarks, and instead ended up intensifying the conversation. Shannon pressed him immediately, starting the exchange by
Can I
saying,
ask you a question, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
You smoke, right?
Yeah,
Were you smoking when you said you better than Nas?
I might have been a little bit.
what Jim said next caught fans off guard and made many pause the episode.
Way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he
Well,
started.
you said that
but
bullshit.
listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run.
Just when it seemed like Jim was done with comparisons, he made another striking claim. Jim began referencing the old Dipset VS, Nas' feud from the early 2000s, and argued that although he respected Nas and considered himself a true fan, he had now surpassed Nas in cultural influence. He shifted the conversation toward Nas's impact on fashion, calling him one of the most stylish artists ever. But he kept returning to his main argument: Nas doesn't influence the streets the way Jim believes he
But
does.
Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like, he
Ain't
never
no
had
shame in that. There
he
a lot
never
of
had-
folks
he
came up
never had
second to
that
Tom
type of-
Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album. I already told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit like that.
Shannon wasn't letting it slide.
Bro, you been in this thing, but lyrically, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
Y'all
but look
ain't
how you
effing with
dress.
Nas.
Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. The
But
things
I-
that we, listen to
I
me,
can be in the church house. You can't F with Nas lyrically. I don't know who told you that. Now look, I know you on that good stuff, but you not seeing Nas.
At the same time, Jim became so irritated that he started making jokes
40 and
about
50-year-olds
Shannon's
in their
outfit.
panties because I said I'm better
It
than
don't
Nas.
matter.
Look at you. Look at you.
Ain't nobody,
all in your,
ain't
all in
nobody
your
from
feelings.
Dipset gonna take
Shannon,
you
that
over
shirt-
Nas.
that
Nobody
shirt
from the
too-
Diplomats
that
but
shirt-
you.
That
Hey,
shirt too tight.
hold on,
Yeah,
Jim.
yeah,
Hold on.
with Nas.
That shirt too
Hold on,
tight.
hold on.
That
Jimmy,
shirt
Jimmy,
too
Jimmy.
tight. You want to go back
Hold
to
on.
I really mean it? I really mean it started. We could go
No,
back to
but I
the
just
history,
said,
bro.
for you to
Don't
even
do
say that.
bro.
By then, Oko was just sitting back, watching Shannon and Jim go back and forth.
I'm still playing at a
Jada,
high level.
hey,
You better check my record,
you
heard?
jumping up and
I'm
down.
still playing
You
at
need
a
to
high
go back
level.
and get Jada. Jada
I'm
them
rapping
cooked
at,
on.
I'm rapping at a high level. You better check my stats, bro. I will
we
run
not
circles
denying
around
that.
Nas rapping right. I will run circles around Nas rapping right
No,
now.
Nas not the game. Nas
Right
the time.
now, I will run.
Put his
I will
microphone
run.
up. Let me take my mic off.
Saturn. I will
Give me a
run
mic.
Saturn around Nas right now rapping.
Then
Then
Jim
Jim
claimed
accused-
that Shannon only invited him on the show to get more views, which caused Shannon
This
to
the
snap.
biggest podcast you ever been on.
on,
You
hey,
know
yo,
the podcast
you know
you been
Nas-
on
hey.
bigger than this one.
Hold on. We off topic.
I'm not a
Hold on.
podcaster.
No,
Jimmy,
no,
hold on,
This is
hold
what
on.
I, this is what I do.
Joe.
You see
Name
you
a
in your
podcast you been
feelings.
on
You see
bigger
in
than
your
this
feelings. You see
When
in
you
your
get
feelings.
big, you get
This is
invited to
what I.
Club Shay Shay.
This is what I do.
Nas get invited to
You a
Club
pop-
Shay Shay.
That's when Shannon flipped the tone. He went from being a podcast host to becoming a direct challenger. When Jim said he was better than Nas, Shannon didn't just question Jim's music, he challenged him physically.
You gotta start buying baggy your clothes, big fella.
Nah,
You
hey.
too big, man.
You talk about you in the gym. Now you want to get me? You want me to see me in the gym?
Oh, we can do
Since
that.
you like to talk that ish, now come see me in the gym.
We talking about
Come
working
see
out. Or
me
we talking
in the
about, what we
gym.
talking about?
Hey,
Working out or
hey,
strength?
whoa.
Working
What we
out.
talking about? Working out or
Nah.
strength?
Work however you want to do it.
We talking about
Since you got money,
If we talking about
put your
working
money
out, I
where your
burn
mouth
you.
is.
So you talking about working
Run
out, I
them
burn
stacks.
you. You talking about working out, I burn you. You talking about working out or strength? Because you probably can lift a
Whatever.
lot more than me.
Whatever.
You're bigger than me. You're probably stronger than
Whatever.
me. But if you talk about working out, you talking about working out, I'll burn you.
this ain't what you do. This ain't what you want. You
I
are doing
will burn
good
you.
when
You
you
better
talk
go-
about
you
Nas and
better go to my
Jada. You
IG.
don't
You
want to
better-
see
you better
this.
check-
Instead of addressing 50 Cent directly, Jim shifted the focus to a gym challenge, aiming to prove his relevance and dominance in a different way. But while Jim was caught up in the workout competition, 50 had already made his quiet move behind. The scenes and that particular federal label was still lingering in the background. Meanwhile, the audience was fully engaged in the comments. The internet was loving the fact that a retired NFL Hall of Famer was now standing up for Nas. One fan even said, Shannon did what Fat Joe and Jadakiss should have done. Jones, you're delusional. Shannon, thank you for saying it, and that point stuck. Why were they so silent during the original interview? All the while, 50 Cent had been watching everything unfold from the background, and he wasn't laughing. Just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any more ridiculous, things took a petty turn. That's when fans brought back an old...
Honestly, I can't, if it was like Jim Jones, imagine putting a pen to paper to write about him. He was so nice. He was so nice about him. How did you do that? What's the first sentence? What the fuck do you write about him? I'm not anxious to hear the Jim Jones diss record. I'm like, yo. The used to have so nervous was like B.I.G., Pop, right? Even Cannabis, like Eminem, used to have you like, if we go at it, dog, we gotta go hard. You know what I'm saying? But these Jim Jones, I respect you getting your money. You're like, exactly, right?
That was the ultimate sign of disrespect. Back then, Nas didn't just ignore Jim, he laughed him off the stage. And in 2025, that same attitude has resurfaced. But it didn't stop there. While Nas stayed silent and Shannon focused on his workouts, someone else was quietly watching everything unfold. As soon as 50 Cent heard Jim's claim about being better than Nas, he didn't hesitate. He simply laughed, pulled out a few receipts from his endless archive of posts, and brought back one of the most talked about rumors in hip-hop history. He called Jim Individual One. That one caption instantly got the internet buzzing because anyone familiar with the story knows Individual One isn't just a random nickname, it's a term tied to federal paperwork. The nickname came straight from the Tekashi 669 and wiretap. During the 9 Trey Bloods trial in 2018, prosecutors played a phone call they said featured Jim Jones. He wasn't named directly in court, but was referred to as Individual One. In that call, someone was allegedly instructing gang members to violate Tekashi for cooperating with authorities. Jim's voice was never officially confirmed in court, and he was never charged, but the streets, the blogs, and especially 50 Cent have never forgotten that incident. Now, as Jim tries to assert himself on podcasts and call out Nas, 50 saw the perfect chance to remind everyone that the streets still remember. He went back into his Instagram archiving, reposted a meme he had once, quickly deleted the one that read, so that's why they didn't pull him in. Say it ain't so, Jimmy. Looking back to 2019, the Shade Room had shared an update from Tekashi's court case where a verified courtroom reporter stated that Tekashi had named Jim Jones as a 9 Trey member. 50 Cent couldn't help himself, then either he chimed in, which eventually led to the well-known clip of 50 appearing shocked and concerned.
Right now in Texas, please, whatever you do, don't tell them I'm in San Antonio. Don't tell them I'm staying at the Four Seasons. Don't tell them, please don't tell them, man, because there's just so much pressure on me right now. I don't know what to do.
He literally wrote, "I'm afraid for my life." I mean, Jimmy is gang. The internet found it funny, but Jimmy wasn't amused. This is where things shifted. 50 didn't start this situation with Nas. His issues with Jim have been going on for years. This moment with Nas simply gave him a fresh reason to go after Jim publicly. Back in 2007, things got complicated when 50 Cent brought Jim Jones and Yul Santana on stage during a G-Unit show right when Dipset was already dealing with internal problems. Cameron saw that as a major sign of disrespect, especially since Dipset was already falling apart behind the scenes. Then in 2019, during Tekashi 669 in his federal trial, Jim Jones was identified as Individual One in a wiretap phone call that prosecutors played in court. Even though Jim was never officially charged, the label stuck and the internet exploded with snitching rumors. Jim saw all of 50's posts, every single one, and at first, he stayed quiet. Instead, he posted a throwback Bird Gang era photo filled with Dipset nostalgia. The caption read, "Why you keep lying? Lol, I'm going back to sleep. Free male matrix till it's reversed." The free mail matrix line was a shout out to his longtime friend who's serving over 11 years on racketeering charges. It was a subtle shot implying that 50 was creating a false story and living in a fake reality. But Jim didn't stop there. He followed up with another Jim post, this time adding a new caption. Someone tell Shannon Sharpe not to start avoiding this challenge now. Are you going to keep talking like a podcaster, or are you ready to back it up? My sneakers are tied. You already challenged me in front of the world, might as well finish it, champ. Oko Cinco said he doesn't want to do it in public. I'm fine doing it in private. I know his reputation as an athlete is at stake. As long as you're the witness, we don't back down from challenges. Size doesn't matter where I'm from, let's go. While 50 Cent was throwing shots from the sidelines, Jim was preparing like he was ready for something serious. And to add to it, Jim also posted this: if you're over 40 and arguing with me about Nas, you've already lost. Y'all fell for the bait. My streams go up every time you all go viral. I'm teaching older artists a marketing lesson. Y'all are stuck in the past and upset about how things work now. Step it up. His caption made it even clearer. I said what I said. Peace. I can out-rap any artist from my era. Whoever's willing to step into the booth, bring some money with you, because this game isn't free. We're outside, we're active, take that how you want, but we're working every day. The most interesting part, while all of this was happening, Nas stayed completely silent. Meanwhile, Jim kept pushing, kept challenging, and continued claiming he's more influential. If Nas ever responds, it wouldn't just be a diss, it could be a complete lyrical shutdown. But fans are starting to question Jim's approach.
Yeah, Jimmy boy, you should have never brought this up. Y'all are only 3 years apart, and Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats, and here they are. Like Jim Jones, like you got a couple songs. I mean, like literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018. Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Oh, would you look at that? You have been dropping music. You've really been dropping music. But nobody's heard it. Nobody's listening.
Right now, Jim is still pushing the issue, Nas is still quiet, and 50 Cent is quietly moving in the background. If there really is an unreleased wiretap, Jim may have put himself in a bigger situation than just a rap battle. While Jim keeps rapping and showing off, 50 Cent has gone silent to silent. And when 50 goes quiet, that's usually when something big is about to happen. So now, the real question is, will Nas finally step in and shut this down with his bars, or will 50 let the streets handle it and drop the truth when it's already too late? What do you think? Should Nas respond or let this play out? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like the video if you're enjoying the breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives just like this. Stay tuned, this story might not be over yet.